Welcome to a new deep dive. This is where we take your sources, all those articles, notes, research papers, and, well, we dive deep.
We pull out the key insights, the nuggets you need to know.
Exactly, making you well-informed, fast. Today, we're looking at some really quite provocative material. It's from a source called EarthScope, unveiling the climate collapse deception.
Right, and this source, it definitely challenges, the mainstream narrative on climate change.
It really does. So let's get into it.
Okay, so what's fascinating right off the bat is how this EarthScope material positions itself. It's not really predicting the future.
No. What is it then?
It's framing itself as more of an expose. It claims it's revealing classified info, stuff about a climate tipping point
Uh-huh.
that it says might have already happened. So our job today is to walk you through these claims, the alleged evidence they present.
Okay, helping you understand what this source specifically is claiming goes on behind the scenes. All right, let's unpack the first big one. The core claim, right up top. Earth's climate tipping point. Not 2050, not even 2035,
Yeah.
but maybe, possibly, back in 2022.
Wow, okay. And the source says the public's still being told, what, plenty of time?
That's the quote, yeah, plenty of time. So what's the basis for such a huge claim? Where do they start?
Well, they point immediately to the AMOC. That's the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation.
Okay, AMOC, I've heard of that. It's that big ocean current system.
Right, exactly. The source describes it as basically regulating global weather. Use this metaphor, the planet's blood flow.
Vivid. And the claim is?
The claim is it's weakening significantly. And this weakening is triggering what the source calls cascading failures.
Cascading failures, like what?
Like think worse droughts, bigger floods, hurricanes popping up when and where you don't expect them, all over the globe.
And here's where it gets, well, pretty pointed. The source alleges governments knew this about the AMOC.
Knew it and deliberately buried it. That's the accusation.
And their proof.
They cite classified research logs, supposedly from European and U.S. space agencies.
Released under FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act.
That's what EarthScope claims, yes.
Yeah.
So that really, sets the stage for their whole argument about deception.
Definitely. But they don't just stick to recent stuff, do they? They go back in time.
Right. They bring up this place, Camp Century, in Greenland, back in 1959.
Camp Century, wasn't that supposed to be a U.S. Army research station under the ice?
Officially, yes, a
Oh.
research station. But this source claims it was really a secret nuclear facility and a climate surveillance outpost.
Climate surveillance with sensors deep in the ice.
That's the picture they paint. And connecting this to the bigger story, they claim Denmark declassified logs from Camp Century in 2014.
Okay, and these logs showed.
A chilling trend, according to the source. Ice core data, apparently from 60 years ago, already showing unpredictable thaw patterns.
60 years ago. Wow. And the source says these findings were just ignored.
Ignored and buried, that's the assertion. Establishing this alleged pattern of keeping things quiet.
And the kicker, that same area in Greenland today.
The source claims it's melting 3 times faster than predicted. 3 times.
Whoa. And there's more. Something about toxins.
Yeah, this is pretty alarming. They claim buried toxins, fuel, radiation, maybe other unknown stuff from that old base are now leaching into global water cycles.
Okay, that's a lot. Let's shift gears then to the Arctic. What does EarthScope say about that?
Methane. Permafrost thaw releasing methane at record levels.
And they remind us methane is potent, right?
Yep.
Much worse than CO2 in the short term.
80 times more heat trapped per molecule. That's the figure they cite. So, yeah, these leaks are a big deal in their narrative.
Do they give specifics?
They do. Pretty specific, actually. They claim satellite sensors picked up plumes the size of cities drifting over Siberia.
The slice of cities, seriously.
That's the claim. And they say NASA initially flagged this back in 2018, but then pulled the data set from public view.
Pulled it. What was the official reason?
The source says the official reason given was data glitch.
But EarthScope suggests something else.
They point to alleged internal emails. One apparently said something like, the scale would cause panic. Hold until further modeling.
Wow. So the source's interpretation is?
Basically, they're stalling for time. It fits right into their theme of hiding the bad news.
Okay, from the Arctic. Let's go south. Way south. Antarctica. They talk about the Doomsday Glacier.
Right, the Thwaites Glacier, officially. Huge glacier. Holds back enough ice, they say, to raise sea levels by 10 feet.
10 feet, that's immense. And what's the news there, according to this source?
Recent drone scans, they claim, show this widening cavity underneath the glacier.
So it's melting from below, where it's hard to see.
Exactly, melting from below where we can't see. And they say an international team tried to sound the alarm in 2021.
And what happened?
According to Earthscope, they were told to, quote, align messaging with climate optimism.
Climate optimism.
Yeah. And the source adds, rather starkly, optimism won't stop coastal cities from vanishing.
Okay, so given all these pretty dire claims, what about solutions? Does the source talk about what's being done or discuss?
It does. It brings up solar geoengineering. You know, the idea of reflecting sunlight back out into space.
Right, controversial stuff.
Very. And they mentioned one specific startup that apparently launched sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere without permission.
Without permission. What happened to them?
The source says they were quietly shut down.
But the idea itself, geoengineering, is it still being discussed?
Oh, yes. According to Earthscope, big time, they claim leaked memos from the UN show global leaders are actually discussing emergency deployments.
Emergency deployments. But what about the risks? Scientists have warned about side effects, right?
Absolutely. The source quotes warnings about weather disruption, famine, geopolitical chaos, major potential downsides.
And these discussions are happening.
Behind closed doors. That's the emphasis from the source. Secret talks about drastic measures.
Now, there's another angle to the response, isn't there? It's something quite different. Bunkers.
Ah, yes. The climate bunkers. Earthscope describes multiple underground bunkers sold in 2023. Places like New Zealand, the Rockies.
Built by defense contractors, equipped for long-term isolation.
10 years of isolation, apparently. And they name names.
Like who?
They mention billionaires like Peter Thiel and ex-senators investing in these hideouts.
So the implication there from the source's perspective is...
It's pretty clear. The source presents it as they're not trying to fix the planet. They're just trying to survive it. A stark contrast, right?
Oh, definitely stark. Okay, one final piece of this puzzle they present. Something about new climate models.
Yes, AI-developed models.
Yeah.
Trained, supposedly, on decades of data weather, disasters, CO2 levels, everything.
And the result?
Classified. That's what the source claims. Classified results.
But they have quotes from whistleblowers.
Alleged whistleblowers, yes. One apparently said, the models show acceleration, not stabilization.
Acceleration. That's not good.
No. And another quote they provide is even more dramatic. If the public saw this, cities would collapse from migration pressure alone.
Wow. Heavy stuff. And despite these alleged AI findings...
Still silence, according to Earthscope. Just silence.
So wrapping this up, what does this Earthscope material mean for you listening? It's a really unsettling picture they paint.
It really is. The source basically leaves you with this question. Is the climate crisis already past a point of no return? Or are we just watching it unravel very slowly?
And their core assertion running through everything
is that the people with the data are not being honest. That's their claim. And the people without it are not prepared.
Yeah. This deep dive into the Earthscope stuff, it lays out these powerful, challenging claims, secret intelligence, classified AI, billionaires building bunkers.
It really forces you to think about information, who has it, who doesn't, and what's presented to the public versus what might be known privately.
And they end with that line.
Right. You weren't meant to hear this. But now that you have, the source asks you directly, what will you do with the truth?
So a big question for you to consider. How does hearing this perspective, these specific claims from Earthscope, shape your understanding, your view on the challenges, and maybe the information you get?
It's definitely something to think about.